Welcome friends to the e-learning platform and initiative by Science Park, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. Today we are starting with the second part of our session where we are going to know about metals and non-metals. Here I am covering chapter 7 from SSC board and chapter 4 from CBSE board. Let's take a quick recap over last video where we started with the classification of matter that we have studied in earlier years, and now we are studying in details about properties of metals and non-metals, where we saw that out of 118 elements, 95 elements are metals. We saw some physical properties of metals and chemical properties of metals, where we understood how cations is formed before any reaction. Then we saw some reactions of metals with oxygen. We saw some reaction of metals towards water, and we understood reaction of metals towards dilute. Today we'll see these subtopics where we first study what are metalloids. Then we'll study differences between metals and non-metals. Then we'll see what are metalloids. Then we'll see physical properties of non-metals, and then we'll see chemical properties of non-metals. Then we'll see noble metals and their uses. Then we'll understand what is corrosion, and lastly we'll see what are alloys. Here I have written differences between metals and non-metals. So you pause this video here and write down all the differences in the physical properties of metals and non-metals in your notebook. Now let's understand what are metalloids. Metalloids are the elements which possesses the qualities of metals as well as non-metals. Hence they are known as semi-metals. Metalloids in the periodic table are placed between the metals and non-metals and are located in a zigzag pattern or a step-like structure. Hence we can say that the periodic table is divided into three types of elements: metals, non-metals and metalloids. There are 7 metalloids which are placed from 13th to 16th group of the periodic table. They are boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium and polonium. Let's see some important properties of metalloids. Metalloids show mixed properties of metals as well as non-metals. They can be shiny or dull in appearance and brittle in nature. They behave as non-metals when they react with metals, and they behave as metals when they react with non-metals. They are amphoteric oxides, which means they can behave as basic oxides as well as acidic oxides. Boron, silicon and germanium behave as semiconductors. All the metalloids have different melting and boiling points. They are ductile and can be bent into pipes. Some of the metalloids look like metals, solid and tough. Now let's see some physical properties of non-metals. Non-metals are brittle. Non-metals are not malleable and ductile. Non-metals are bad conductors of heat and electricity, except graphite due to free electrons. It conducts electricity and heat. Non-metals may be solid, liquid or gas at standard temperature and pressure. Non-metals are generally soft. Exception is diamond. Non-metals have low melting and boiling points. Non-metals have low densities. Let's see some important chemical properties of non-metals. First, the question arises, how do non-metals react? Non-metals gain electron and become negative ions. So they are called as anions. So they are called electronegative elements. The atomic number of chlorine is 17. Its electronic configuration is therefore 287. It has 7 valence electrons. It gains one electron and forms a chloride ion. Let's see this reaction here. When chlorine reacts with one electron, since the electronic configuration of chlorine is 287, only one electron is less to complete its octet. So it's very reactive and gain one electron and becomes negatively charged ion. So now the electronic configuration of this negatively charged chlorine ion is 288 and hence it completes its octet here. Likewise, if we see this reaction of oxygen, it is always -2 because the electronic configuration of oxygen is 2,6. There are 2 electrons less in the outer shell of oxygen to complete its octet. So it gains 2 electrons and form O2-, and therefore we say the oxidation state of oxygen is always -2. So once it takes 2 electrons, its electronic configuration becomes 2,8. Most of the nonmetals have 4 to 7 electrons in their outermost shells. Therefore, they need 4 electrons to 1 electron to complete their octet. Therefore, they gain electrons and become negatively charged ions, that are anions. Now, to understand this concept of anions and nonmetals, let's play this game again, where you make a table in your notebook and write down all the nonmetals one by one here. Write down the atomic numbers and electronic configuration here. Let's see reaction of nonmetals with oxygen. When hydrogen reacts with oxygen, it forms water. We all know about it. When carbon reacts with oxygen, it can form carbon dioxide, can form carbon monoxide. In the presence of insufficient oxygen, carbon monoxide is formed instead of carbon dioxide. Whereas carbon dioxide is a colorless, odorless gas and is an acidic oxide. In case of chlorine, chlorine reacts with oxygen to form anhydride of hypochlorous acid. It is a very dangerous orange colored gas. Now when chlorine gas reacts with oxygen gas, it forms reddish yellow gas, a useful oxidizing agent. The chlorine oxides are acidic and highly unstable. It reacts with alkalis to form salt immediately. Nitrogen, when reacts with oxygen, it forms a colorless gas called as nitrogen monoxide, which is very toxic air pollutant. When nitrogen monoxide again reacts with oxygen, it forms nitrogen dioxide. It is a reddish brown toxic gas which has a sharp biting odor and is an air pollutant. Sulfur reacts with oxygen to form sulfur dioxide. This is an acidic oxide. When sulfur dioxide comes out of the exhaust chimney of any industry, goes out in air, reacts with the mist in the clouds, forms sulfuric acid, and sometimes in the history when we hear about acidic rains, they are only because of this sulfur dioxide. This is a colorless gas with a pungent smell and it dissolves in acid to form, it dissolves in water to form sulfuric acid. Let's see some important reactions of non-metals with metals. Now reactions of non-metals with metals are always a redox reaction. Redox means reduction and oxidation reactions, where non-metal is an oxidizing agent and metal is a reducing agent. Don't take any tension. This part of the video or what I am teaching you is not in your syllabus, but just for your knowledge I am telling you all these reactions. So hydrogen is a classic nonmetal, can react with sodium and can form metal hydride. Nitrogen reacts with calcium to form nitride sulfur react with metal to form sulfides. Similarly, chlorine reacts with most of the metals to form chlorides, and oxygen reacts with metals to form their oxides. Now, as we have seen reactivity series of metals, let's see reactivity series of non-metals. Across the periodic table, the atomic radius decreases, ionization energy increases, and therefore electronegativity increases. So as you go from left to right, more and more non-metallic characters increases. Increase in electronegativity also reflects an increasing oxidizing power, reacting power. So here I have listed some important non-metals like fluorine, oxygen, chlorine, nitrogen, bromine, iodine, sulfur, carbon, hydrogen according to their reactivity. As we have seen reaction of metals with dilute acid, let's see reactions of non-metals with dilute acids. And to your surprises, let me tell you, non-metals do not react with dilute acids. Let's get to know about noble metals and their uses. Some metals like gold, silver, platinum, palladium and rhodium are noble metals. They occur in nature in the elemental state. Gold, which is 100% pure, is called as 24 karat gold. We all know about it. Pure gold is always very soft. As a result, the ornaments made from pure gold bend or break due to pressure. Therefore, goldsmiths mix it with certain proportion of copper or silver. Ornaments are made from 22 karat gold or gold with still smaller carat value. Let's see important uses of noble metals. We all know that gold, silver and platinum are used to prepare ornaments. Silver is used in medicines. It has got antibacterial property in it. Gold and silver also used to make medals. Gold is also been used in Ayurveda for some of its Suvarna Bhasmas and some medicines. Gold and silver also used to make few electronic devices. Platinum, palladium metals are used as catalysts. Now, have you ever had this question in your mind, why metal articles on rubbing becomes brighter? Why do we rub our copper vessels so much we wash it with some other detergent to make it shiny and brighter? Okay, let me tell you. When a metal has been kept exposed to air for a long time, its appearance becomes dull due to formation of layer of oxide, hydroxide or carbonate of the metal by slow action of moisture and gases present in the air. This process is called as corrosion. This is the reason why further reaction between aluminium and air is not possible. Though a thin layer of alumina always forms on the top of the aluminium utensil. Now let's see more about corrosion. Where have you seen corrosion in your life? You must have seen corroded metal parts somewhere around you in your daily chores. So corrosion is a natural process which converts refined metal to their stable metal oxide. It is a gradual destruction of materials, usually metals, by chemical reaction with their environment. In the most common use of the word, it means electrochemical oxidation of metal in reaction with an oxidant such as oxygen. You don't have to remember all that, just for your information. Have you seen formation of brown coating of rust over iron or green coating of basic copper carbonate over copper utensils? Have you seen formation of black coating of silver sulfide over silver utensils? Yes, you must have observed all that. But you must not be knowing that the black coating is silver sulfide. The greenish coating on copper vessel is always copper carbonate. And the brown coating is a rust over iron is always iron oxide. Now to show that air and moisture are necessary for rusting of iron, you can do this experiment, or else once you start coming to Science Park, we will do this experiment and see what happens. Here we have to take 3 different test tubes. In one test tube 1, we will keep carbon chloride to absorb whatever water content or humidity is there inside the test tube. We'll seal the test tube. We'll put one iron nail in that and we'll keep it there. So the air in this test tube becomes dry. In test tube number 2, we'll keep this iron nail in a boiled water. And then we'll keep a thin layer of oil on top of that and we'll close the lid of the test tube. In test tube number 3, we'll keep iron nail in a water and we will not cover that water with a layer of oil and we'll close the lid of the test tube. And let's see what will happen after few hours or few days. We'll see that there is some rust at the bottom of test tube number 3 and there won't be any rust in test tube number 1 and 2. Can you tell me why? Now corrosion is a huge problem in daily chores. So what do we do to prevent corrosion? We do painting, because paints always prevent the reaction of the inner material with moisture and air. We do oiling, we do greasing to our engines and vehicles. We do galvanization. Galvanization is putting one layer of zinc on top of steel. We do chrome plating, we do anodization, we even use anodized utensils in our cooking. We make alloys for metals not to be very reactive with air and moisture. Let's get to know more about galvanization process. Here I have shown you one diagram for industrial galvanization process where first let's see what is galvanization. Galvanization is a process of protecting steel and iron from rusting or corrosion by coating them with a thin layer of zinc, where they have to first prepare the surface of steel or iron by degreasing, rinsing and making it clean. Then they have to dry that and then they dip it in a zinc bath. So a thin layer of zinc forms on the surface of the steel or iron, which protects it for further corrosion. Lastly, let's get to know about alloys. An alloy is a material composed of 2 or more metals or a metal and a mixture of non-metal. An alloy may be solid solution of elements or may be a mixture of metallic phases, 2 or more solutions, or can be an intermetallic compound with no distinct boundary between the phases. Alloys always helps in prevention of corrosion. Stainless steel is an alloy of iron along with small amounts of magnesium, nickel, chromium and carbon. Brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. If in an alloy one of the component is mercury, then that alloy is known as amalgam. Solder is an alloy of tin and lead. Okay folks, that is it for metals and non-metals. Bye bye for now.